Your journey.
Okay, awesome. Hi, Diane. Can you introduce yourself in a sentence or two?
Hi, my name is Diane Akpovwa, and I'm the creative director for Valley issue 36.
Why did you choose your major?
So I actually started at Penn State as a computer science major, but then I was like, that's not my vibe. And so I switched to human-centered design in the College of IST because I wanted to be able to design and kind of make my own stuff. And then I'm minoring in art history and getting a museum study certificate. So I feel like it all works out really well because I want to do something that kind of conflates art and technology. And so I feel like those two things just pair better together. And I feel like it just feels more me. Boots, actually. I always wear boots. Sneakers, I have actually just started getting into those. And before sneakers, I would say I was a bit more of a heeled person, but heeled boots, So I think the thing is just boots.
What's one skill you've developed in this role that surprised you?
Honestly, I've developed so many skills, communication. I feel like my background in painting and, being sort of like a solo artist what allowed me to work with certain nuances that I didn't need to verbally communicate. But of course, when you're leading a team of 40 people, you have to be able to explain your idea to the very minute details, and you have to be able to explain it in a way that the videographer can understand and identify with, the photographer, the stylist, the makeup artist, And so I think that being able to succinctly define what I'm looking for and, identify what it is I am, where my vision is something that I've definitely learned. And then also just being proactive. Oh my God. Just being able to somebody's like, hey, we need this, hey, we need that. And I'm immediately on it. I never was like that before this. And I feel like, this is kind of one of those things where it's if I'm not on it, then no one will be. So I kind of have to be. So yeah, I would say that those are some skills that I've learned. I would definitely say to be organized and that the details matter. The details really matter. I think the mistake that I made my first semester was I was like, yeah, we'll fix it in editing, we'll fix it in post. But it's no, you can't do every single thing, where the model's hands are, what speck of dirt is in the back, if their hair is out of place. That all matters and that all reads in the final photo. And so now with what I know, I'm a lot more meticulous about making sure everything is as perfect as we can make it. And of course you can do a lot of things in post, but there are a lot of things you can't do in post and you have to do it right now. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is just being very intentional and on top of details and refining what I want to see so I know how to direct what I want to see.
How long have you been involved with Valley?
I've been with Valley since my spring of freshman year, so I think it's about 3 years now, which is crazy. I don't know, that's a really hard question, just because I feel like sometimes it's the 80s, sometimes it's the 90s, but ultimately I feel like I was actually born in the perfect decade. I love being able to wear a cage skirt with the cheetah print for a jacket. I just feel like that's what life is about.
Where do you draw your inspiration from?
A lot of times I get inspired through dreams, and also sort of just people that I look up to and magazines that I look up to. So ID, Perfect Magazine. Being from Nigeria, a lot of the creative people there and the creative culture there is to be very expansive and loud. We love huge patterns. We love huge, displays of, gaudy beauty. And so I feel like that naturally is something that I'm very drawn to. And so that coupled with, just dreaming, thinking. The last thing I pinned on Pinterest, and if it'll load, I will show you.
All right.
Oh, who is that? Oh, the last thing I pinned on Pinterest was actually this.
Oh,
can you see that?
This. Yes.
Yeah, this was the last thing I pinned on Pinterest because I was trying to get some inspiration for the cover star shoot and how we would lay it out, and I thought that this could be a really fun lead. So yeah.
What first drew you to the magazine?
I remember me and my friends were pulling an all-nighter at the Hub. So on hour 13, I think we were like, okay, let's go look around. And I remember seeing a Valley issue, I think it was fall 2022, and it was in the stands. And I remember being like, oh my God, what is this? I need to be a part of this. It was my freshman year, spring semester, or It was my freshman year spring semester when I actually got in, because Valley was actually looking for like a makeup artist, and I think it was kind of like a last minute situation, and so they were just like sending out information and telling everybody on their team like, hey, like we need a makeup artist. And my friend knew that I used to do like a very eclectic makeup at the time, and so she was like, oh, like I know the perfect person for you. And yeah, I just sort of like got in that way, and I've been here ever since, and I've loved it. So what is one fashion item I can't live without? It's gonna be a big statement necklace. I love jewelry. I get that from my mom, and if you know me, like I will always be wearing like a really big necklace. So yeah, I would say that.
How do you keep creatively motivated, especially since your role juggles so many different things?
I don't know. Because I'm a painter and I love music, and I feel like I get my inspiration from so many different things, and I have my hands in a bunch of different things. And so between magazines and like my friends and just like what I see in like social media, I feel like I'm always sort of like thinking about things and thinking about how to merge different ideas together to make something really cool. My go-to outfit when I'm in a rush is always going to be some baggy pants. If you know me, you know you will never see my ankles. I get incredibly overstimulated. I will always wear some loose pants or a very wide A-line skirt, and then up top I will also probably wear like maybe a hoodie or like just something that I can breathe in. I really like to feel like I'm not really wearing clothes when I wear clothes, so I love to like kind of swim in my stuff, especially if I'm in a rush.
Can you share a project at Valley that was especially challenging? How did you overcome that challenge?
Honestly, my first semester directing for Valley was incredibly difficult. While the previous creative director was a genius, he left big shoes to fill, and I'm not a graphic designer, and that has never been something that I've been extensively proficient in. And so trying to find a graphic design team, trying to figure out how I wanted to come into myself as a director, and just what I envisioned for Valley was just really difficult to sort of manage all of those things. And I felt like I was taking on so many different roles that weren't necessarily mine. We didn't have a set designer at the time, and so I was that. And I was also doing a lot of the graphic design because we were very understaffed in our graphic design teams, and I was just sort of doing a lot. And so it was really difficult because I also just wasn't even sure how to lead, and I had so many big ideas, but wasn't really sure about translating them into a creative vision. And so I think that was honestly probably the hardest thing I've had to do. It's definitely been a lot easier since then, knowing some of the hurdles to look out for, and also knowing what I want to say a little bit more now. But yeah, that was definitely the hardest part for me. That's really hard, actually. That's really hard. I would choose denim because it's a bit more versatile, but I always, if you see me in the winter, I will always be wearing my leather jacket. So it's like, I do love leather, but I can't wear leather pants. I feel like I'm a lot more comfortable in denim, so I will say denim.
How do you mentor or guide younger members on the creative team?
I think with the way that I like to lead, it's definitely people-centered. I love to make people feel empowered to make their own creative decisions, to have their own creative autonomy. Of course, within the framework of what the photo shoots that I decide that we're going to be doing. But I do love to have people take charge on what they feel is important or what they feel they want to bring to it. So in terms of how I guide and mentor people, I would say that it really is just by, challenging people to find their own creative voice. And I mean, of course, I'll always be here if they want an extra assistance, but I do really empower people to be autonomous in their creative journeys. If I could steal anyone's wardrobe, it would 1000% be my cousin, Rukewe. Her clothes are out of this world. It's very dark. It's very cool. It's very just create your own. She's very she's a Pisces, and I feel like I get a lot of fashion influence from her, honestly, just the way that her clothes just really take up space and have its own presence.
What's the balance between your personal aesthetic and Valley's brand identity?
Oh, these are good questions. Damn. Okay, I feel like for Valley, I'm sort of going for a lot more bold, a lot more loud aesthetics, and I feel like that is very true to myself. I'm an Aries, if that matters to anyone, and I like to be loud in presence and in style, and so I think that with Valley, I am sort of leaning more towards those weird and unconventional, but ultimately very bold looks. Yeah. I think it's just really important to, document how jarring it is to be in the times we're in right now, which is why I wanted Soundtrack to a Revolution to exist in the way that it does, to just, serve as a record of our continued existence as Black people and marginalized identities, and I think that we are living in incredibly jarring times, just with the political and economic state of the world, for real. Shout out, who was that?
Jaden Smith.
Yes, shout out Jaden Smith. Yeah, shout out Jaden Smith, because he was right. It's crazy times. And so with shoots like Soundtrack, even with shoots like Eco Death, I really just want to bring forth some of those ideas about what we're doing to our environment, what we're doing to our people, and trying to bring back empathy and love and kindness. And so I think the movement that I would say is most important right now is just the times we're in right now.
Do you think being a student makes the role harder or more exciting?
I think it makes it more exciting. I can't imagine doing homework and just homework. I feel like it's nice to have a thing like Valley that I have to do, because it really just balances my day. I feel like there's so many days where I'm ugh, this is I'm in class and I'm ugh, while I do love my major, sometimes school just gets a little repetitive, and I love that Valley sort of breaks me out of my routine. It's yes, I have to do homework, but at 6 p.m. I have to go paint these people in gold, and I just think that it makes everything so much more exciting. My favorite TV show at the moment is going to be Fleabag. I love Fleabag. I just think everything from the direction, from the way she breaks the fourth wall, from the way the storylines sort of intersect, the way that she says so much without saying that much, and how every episode is 30 minutes, but you feel like it's an entire universe in itself. I love Fleabag. Favorite show ever. Chef's kiss.
What brought you to Penn State?
So I moved from Nigeria in 2019 to a very rural boarding school in the middle of nowhere. And I kind of just want to see something else. I hadn't really seen much of America outside of that, and so I was let me go as far from the South as I can. And then I came to Penn State, which is also pretty rural, but still awesome. And now I'm here. Always gonna be a silver girly, but I do like a little gold. I feel like I'm okay with mixed metals. I think it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of but if I had to choose, I would say silver.
What's the most rewarding part of publishing an issue?
Honestly, the photo shoots and the memories made. I really love getting together with people and creating the photo shoots and just coming alive and having the different ideas and parts and everything, and just seeing how everybody works and seeing how everything just comes to life, because it's one thing to have a concept on a mood board, but it's another thing to see it in front of yourself. And we have people painted in gold right now, and I still can't believe that that's happening. So I always go back to Atlanta. I think that Atlanta is a wealth of creativity. It's a wealth of expansion. It is just it's a place where so many nuances can be alive, especially in the arts, especially in performance art, in visual art, in music, in style. Atlanta, it really is the place. And so whenever I need a creative reset, I go back to Atlanta. I touch grass with my friends, and I just go out and see the world and just see what Atlanta is talking about, for real.
What do you hope readers feel when they get to see this issue of the mag?
I hope they feel inspired. I really, at the core of what we're doing, I really just want more people who are unique, who are different, who are outsiders to feel like they can be inspired by what is happening here. And because I remember being a freshman and feeling so out of place, in terms of what I was doing with my makeup, and I had bleached eyebrows and a smiley piercing. I was a completely different person. And I was just I really just wanted a space that I could find community in as a creative person. And so I want readers to feel like they can be empowered to make those bold choices and to be their bold and unique selves.
Give 3 reasons for people to show out at launch.
Reason number 1, we're doing amazing. Reason number 2, This is literally Penn State's Met Gala. Like, there is no better opportunity for you to come and show out and be fun and cutesy and creative and get to celebrate the fruits of, everyone's labor. Reason number 3, we have an amazing fashion show, and you need to stay tuned for that. We are putting on the show of a lifetime, and I think everybody needs to be there. So, a film that inspires me visually, in terms of storyline, I would say Dream Scenario. I really love that movie. I think it's a really great movie. I don't know, I love dreams, and I love things that are very weird and metaphysical and kind of don't make sense, and I think that movie converges all of those things to make a very visually appealing but ultimately insane plotline. And yeah, I love Dream Scenario.
Is there a moment at Valley that made you especially proud of your team?
I feel like I have so many moments. Oh my God. Honestly, the other day we were doing the simulacrum photo shoot, and I feel like just the way that everyone had such crazy, cool, expensive ideas. Honestly, I feel like I'm always so proud of the team. Even Ben, I had the idea for Soundtrack to a Revolution, and I knew I wanted it to be a protest at a party, but I had no idea that I wanted it to be voguing, and that was something that Ben had, come up with, and he was like, yeah, like, we need to make that as much of a central part, and I'm so glad that we did that. And I just feel like with all the photo shoot ideas, like, I start something, but I know that the team is really what helps us finish it and flesh it out and make it come alive. And so I'm proud of the team all the time, honestly, every shoot. I'm going to do all 3. I feel like it would be sort of like a vanilla, like 3-dimensional polygon that just is like kind of spiky in some parts, and also kind of like, I don't know, almost looks like it's melting in some parts too. I think very weird. It would be kind of gross, but so gross you couldn't look away. And I think that really does encapsulate me. And it'd be hot pink, of course. Or maybe more like a deep fuchsia. Yeah, that's me.
If you could give one piece of advice to future creatives at Valley, what would it be?
I would say not to stifle your voice and to decolonize your imagination. I feel like being here sometimes, like, it can feel like the pressure to conform, the pressure to look cool, the pressure to, present a certain way, like, feels so heavy. But ultimately, I feel like, as creative people, we owe it to ourselves to trust our instincts and to be ourselves as boldly and loudly as we can. So anyone and everyone who continues on with Valley, I feel like the Valley way is to be really bold and loud about all the cool, crazy shit you're into. So if my life had a soundtrack, it would 1000% be Bad Girls by Solange. I love that song. It's very 80s prom. It's very loser at the end of a party. It's really beautiful. And I love Solange's version. I love Blood Orange's version. I would have to say Bad Girls by Solange.
Is there something you wish more people understood about the behind the scenes of Valley?
How much work it is and how much work it takes. Like, genuinely, it takes a village. We need every single person on this team. I cannot stress enough how every single person keeps this, like, system running. I would be dead without my directors. I would be dead without my team. I really do feel like the biggest thing that I want to emphasize is how hard everybody really does work, and like how hard everyone is so committed to, or how committed everyone is to what we do, and just how amazing everyone is. A typical shoot day is I come in probably like 3 minutes late, just because that's how life goes. And then typically we have like the makeup artists and the models already there, like at the beginning, and fashion, and so they're all there. And then like I'm sort of just like looking at what makeup is doing, making sure that everything looks right. Usually also sorting through clothes with fashion, making sure that they look right. And then probably like 30-ish minutes later, photo arrives, and so then now I'm trying to get them set up in terms of the lighting, in terms of where exactly we're gonna stage the shoot. And then video also arrives around then too, so we kind of just like integrate that way. And yeah, I try to talk to the models as best I can. When casting is there, it's really nice too, because they can also sort of like, you know, be the model's confidant and just like, you know, somebody to keep them company. And yeah, and then we start shooting, the magic happens. You know, I'm usually asking them like to pose in certain places or pose in certain ways. And yeah, I think that's really what that looks like. Okay, awesome.